Hey everyone, Mark Hespin here, host of On the Mark on News Talk 1070 KHMO. Follow the show, just search On the Mark KHMO on Facebook. Follow me at Mark Hespin on Twitter and on Instagram. All right, I know week 5 isn't over yet. We got Monday Night Football tonight, Packers at the Raiders in Las Vegas, but I don't care what happens in that game. No matter, even if one team blows out the other team, none of them are cracking my top 10 in the power rankings. So I'm going to go right to it. I feel really good about this week's power rankings. Let's jump into it. Afterwards, I'll give you my little weekly State of the Union on the Chicago Bears. At number 10 this week, the New Orleans Saints. Listen, New Orleans I was really disappointed with them when they lost to Tampa and the way they played. I feel like they rushed Derek Carr back, and if they would have started Jameis Winston that game, maybe things would have been completely different for them. Derek Carr healthy in New England, a huge bounce back win. If Derek Carr is healthy and playing like that, this version of the New Orleans Saints is the version that will win the NFC South. I feel confident in saying that. The Saints at number 10. The Ravens, yes, they lost to the Steelers. I still have them ahead of the Steelers in the power rankings, and I still have them at number 9 in the power rankings. Listen, when the Ravens and Steelers play each other, things get haywire, things get wonky, and the Ravens had a bunch of miscues that led to the Steelers hanging around, and then Lamar made one really bad decision late in the game that certainly ended up putting kind of the nail in the coffin for the Ravens. I still like the Ravens overall. I think that they're still finding their form, and when they play anyone else who's not in division, named the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're going to beat up on some people. Still high on the Ravens, still high on Lamar. I'll have them at number 9 this week. Seattle Seahawks, they moved down a slot even though they didn't play. Again, nothing to change really with Seattle. Just some other teams made some moves this week that I felt strongly about. Seattle, to me, is that high-class tier of the NFC wildcard. They absolutely should be the favorites of the wildcard spots in the NFC right now. They are a team that I've seen them go on the road and beat good teams like the Detroit Lions. So I feel confident about Seattle. I just don't love their ceiling as much as I love the ceiling of some of the teams ahead of them. I have the Seattle Seahawks at number 8 this week. The Jags, they were high in the power rankings to start. They fell out of the power rankings. Now they're back into the power rankings. I have them at number 7. The Jacksonville Jaguars, 2 weeks in a row in London, played really, really solid football. This offense is starting to really get going. Travis Etienne looked great against the Bills team. How much do I take in them beating the Bills in that fashion? Not everything, because I think the Bills were just certainly at a huge disadvantage. You know, the Jags already spent a week and a half in London before playing the Bills. They had a large advantage as far as being acclimated and everything, and the Bills looked like they were sleepwalking. This game played on a neutral site, full rest for both teams in the United States, time zone wise. I think I like the Bills more than the Jags right now. The Jags, they got to find a way to get consistency with the pass rush. When it gets there, it's great, but more consistency with the pass rush. And just keep feeding their big play weapons. And Trevor Lawrence, keep using your feet. He's a mobile guy. He's a big guy. He's an athlete. Really like to see Trevor Lawrence continue to stay mobile. Jags at number 7. Just ahead of them are the Miami Dolphins. Now, Miami, this was a really, really nice win for them in the sense that they were expected to beat the New York Giants, and they did beat the New York Giants. And again, Miami is just loaded with so much speed. It is an ungodly amount of speed. It is hard to comprehend how much speed they have on this team. And they're taking advantage of it. And what I really like from this Dolphins team in this bounce back win is, listen, this could have spiraled really quickly, right? You come out to this hot start, you're undefeated, and then you lose and you get punched in the mouth, and you come back the next week and maybe things are shaky and it turns into a quick losing streak. No, they put that right to bed. They got back on the winning track. They got back to using their speed at home, taking advantage of a bad team. The Dolphins, still a tier, in my opinion, below the top of the AFC, but a very, very dangerous team still early on in this year. They still capable of making a ton of noise. I think even a Super Bowl run. Just ahead of them, I still have the Bills. So Bills, Dolphins, Jags, all three of these teams really, really close to each other. I'll say this. I would have loved for the Bills to just go out there and show up and play well. I think the problem is, we saw it in the second half. When the Bills got going, I think the Bills are still the better team than the Jags. We saw them already beat up on the Dolphins. The problem was they just had a terrible plan of when to get to England. I don't think they got to England until Thursday night. It's just ridiculous. word of warning to any team that's playing a London game, an England game, get to the country as soon as possible. Leave the United States. They should have been on a flight Sunday after that last game. Get there, get acclimated, get the rest, just get it out of the way so you can have as much of a full normal week as possible time zone wise, because the Bills paid for it dearly. Good to see Von Miller back. Love the defense, the fight that they have when they're going to be clicking all cylinders. Hate the Matt Milano injury, so we'll see how that long-term affects them. But I still have the Bills at number 5, a tier below the elite of the elite. Number 4, the Detroit Lions. Yeah, I think the Lions absolutely belong in this category at this spot. They absolutely are a team that I've seen so far through 5 games, that I think can compete in the trenches with any other team. San Francisco, Philadelphia, Chiefs, you name it, I think they can compete in the trenches both offensively and defensively. They have a quarterback that's playing really, really good football. They have a quarterback that is absolutely knows where his weapons are, how to use his weapons. They got weapons everywhere, tight end, wide receiver. They were without Amon-Ra St. Brown, and they still blew up a really bad team. And again, they're in a spot which is like a letdown spot, playing the Panthers, and they don't let down at all. This is a Lions team that's really coached well. It's really for real. Their offensive and defensive lines are scary, and I think that the sky is the limit for the Detroit Lions right now. I have them at 4. 49ers, they don't move. They're at 3. I mean, listen, extremely impressive. I didn't think the Cowboys were much of a challenge for them. I'm starting to change my tune on Brock Purdy. I'm starting to see enough from Brock Purdy to where, listen, he's just playing really solid quarterback play, really good quarterback play. And he's doing it with all the confidence and all the talent around him in the world. Yes, do I think he's benefiting from the talent in the system? Absolutely. But he's more talented than the C.J. Beathard's, the Nick Mullen's, the Jimmy Garoppolo's. You know why? Because we've seen all those guys with Kyle Shanahan, and they're not doing what Brock Purdy was doing and is doing. So give him credit. He's playing extremely good football, and he's elevating this already elite Niners team. Niners absolutely could win the Super Bowl. I have them at 3 because I still think when push comes to shove at the number 2 team, they have the best quarterback in football in Patrick Mahomes. They have the best the best player in the NFL in Patrick Mahomes, and a defense that is by far the best of Patrick Mahomes' career. Is it as good as the Niners defense? No. But it's a really, really good defense that gets after the passer, that plays physical at the corner position. We saw that with their attacking on Justin Jefferson and the game plan this week. Shout out to the Chiefs. Travis Kelce, okay, he's fine. He'll be okay, little ankle. They are a very, very complete football team, and they have the best quarterback in football. Chiefs at number 2. Philadelphia Eagles still at number 1. They've been at number 1 the whole of the power rankings for 4 weeks straight right now. And partially because what I see from Philadelphia is I see a team that's still figuring things out. They haven't yet played their complete dominant football yet, and they're undefeated. Like, that's scary to think about. Philadelphia is still an elite defensive line, an elite offensive line, an extremely talented quarterback who can beat you so many different ways. And I truly think when a push comes to shove, and late in the NFC Championship game, Purdy versus Hurts, I'm still putting all my faith in Jalen Hurts and this Philadelphia Eagles team. They're at number 1. But I think right now, as far as Super Bowl caliber teams go, there's about 5, maybe 6. Dolphins, Jags, Bills, and then the Chiefs in the AFC, and then the Phillies, the Niners, the Lions. I'd be shocked if the NFC was represented by anyone other than the Phillies, Philadelphia, the Niners, or the Lions as through week 5. All right, finally, my thoughts on the Chicago Bears, kind of a state of the union for the Chicago Bears, if you will, as I like to do to wrap up these videos. What a heck of a win on Thursday night. Really, really proud of how this team fought, battled, and played a complete game of football. With some lag there in the third quarter, they really let things get tight again. Defensively, they're a morgue right now. They have no one healthy, but you know, how long can you use that as an excuse? Everyone is beat up. I will say this, extremely confident about Justin Fields right now. I think Justin Fields, through the last 2 games, is showing us exactly why we as Bears fans were really frustrated by the slow start, because This is a dude that can be a franchise quarterback. He can put up MVP type numbers. And we've seen it now 2 games in a row. So can he keep this consistency? He absolutely will win this job. It'll be his job for as long as he wants it if he continues to put up numbers and play like that. The thing I'm watching for, and the thing that's most important, now they had 10 days of rest, and they are home against the Vikings and home against the Raiders. Right now, if Matt Eberflus wants to keep this job and he wants to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears, these next 2 games are monumental for his career as a Chicago Bears head coach. Your team finally has a little momentum going. The offense is humming on all cylinders. You have a team that can score 30 points and a game plan that's now starting to open that up. You've got the cancer out of the locker room in Chase Claypool. You've got to find a way to win at home with rest, a time to prepare against the Vikings team that is licking their wounds, is confused, lost, and is in shell shock that they're in the spot that they're in right now. Must-win game for Matt Eberflus and his staff the next 2 games with extra time to prepare. I'm sold on Justin Fields. I'm sold on Ryan Poles for being my GM and my quarterback of the future. Not sold on Matt Eberflus yet. He can start turning that around in a big way with wins against the Vikings and the Raiders at home. Tune in to On the Mark News Talk 1070 KHMO Saturday mornings, 9:05 sharp. Follow On the Mark KHMO on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Mark Hespen, MarkHespen.